Take it away, Dave.
Okay, I hope to have us out of here in about an hour. So we got so RFID technology that we've been working on. What's this? Woo! And Duffy and Nathan have been helping quite a bit with it, so they've actually written a large portion of the code. But unfortunately, we don't have the RFID tags, so I'm going to talk about the RFID technology and how we are incorporating it into the phone and into the Windows application that we've already written for this client. And we're also going to cover some Bluetooth technology that we've written for the application as well. So,
You just see nothing. We're only seeing it. You're good.
Okay. So the agenda: what is RFID? What is Bluetooth? Why do you need both? The difference between paired versus connected. Then we're going to do a short demo. Basically, the demo is Bluetooth. Since we don't have the tags, we can't RFID it. Who uses RFID and why? And who has the resources and information where to get more information on it. Got a little heckler in here. Okay, so RFID is radio frequency identification. Let's see what all you guys think. Okay, cool. It's basically a wireless non-contact use of radio frequencies. First patented in 1973. I didn't realize it had been around that long. That's almost older than I am.
Almost.
So you have basically three types of RFID. You have passive, semi-passive, and active. And basically the difference is the distance that you're going to get, the range from the reader to the tag.
Is that, I would imagine you get the most range with passive?
Active.
Active, you get the most range.
Yeah, because you got battery power, so you can go up to 300 feet. You go beyond that, you get into the microwave reader at that point. That's what you see on the interstates where they've got the RFID things hanging out over top of the interstate for the semis.
Is that what they are?
Yeah, those are
readers?
those are microwave readers.
Microwave readers.
Yeah. So it's a microwave version of RFID, but basically that's what it is. Passive has no battery. It's just a tag, and basically you're looking about 20 feet. So it's not very far.
So that's what they would have like in the stores or something, like a tag on a picker thing as you walk by.
Yep. You've seen those little white strips that they stick on electronics? Those are passive RFID tags.
When would you choose one over the other?
I'm sorry?
When would you choose a passive or a semi-passive?
It depends on your requirements. I want to get over that, but it's a good question because it depends. Your requirements are what's going to dictate what kind of RFID tag you're going with. For instance, the client that we're doing all this stuff for, they had a distance of 100 feet. Well, that kind of meant that we had to go at least semi-passive or active. Either semi-passive or active because both have battery power. So once you have that, then your range goes up significantly. So we're actually going with active or semi-passive tags rather with these guys. With semi-passive, you're about 100 feet is your max, and then active is 100 feet, and then you can also get a battery boost 300. If you need to go over 300, then you have to go with microwave. Your only options. So fixed position. Oh, missed a spot. Widely used by department stores. Walmart, Target, both of them have their own protocols now in place because they're widely used by those guys. They're actually the early adapters of RFID. Are actually the ones that have really put it into the mainstream. Disney, I meant to get Randy's got. Disney just came out this year with an RFID bracelet that you actually walk up and you can actually put your arm up against this reader at Disney, and it knows who you are. You can actually reserve your time to get onto a ride and everything. It's all done via RFID.
You can also pay. So you can just give them thousands of dollars by putting your arm in front of something.
Also, one of the coolest things is, sorry to take it.
No, go ahead.
At one of the premier restaurants in Magic Kingdom, it's called Be Our Guest, and it's like one of the hot spots for people to go eat. You can do the quick plate line. You order your stuff like you would normally, except you don't wait for it, and you go sit down wherever you are, and they come and find you by that RFID, and they bring you your food. You don't have to take a number or anything like that. They just come and find you by your RFID.
That's groovy.
Yeah, it's every brother.
Do you know how Walmart and Target are using it?
Walmart uses it on pretty much any piece of merchandise. You can get tags now for up to 3 cents.
So is it for security purposes or?
They use it for security, inventory. You can use it, e-commerce uses it quite a bit. So you can use it any aspect that you can possibly think of at Walmart it can be incorporated. One of the things that we discussed during our lunch today was, using it for inventory on its way out to the client. Mm-hmm. That's another possible option.
If you look at, another good thing is, someone else does that, I can't remember the name, I think it's called Tile, but Nokia came up with something also to where you use it to track your keys and wallet.
Mm-hmm.
What does Ken say about this?
I've never asked him.
This seems like a big brother thing to me.
No, it's not, because it's the passive thing.
Are you stealing things from Wally World?
Walmart's most likely
Confirming
to use
one
a passive one, which is only going to work, and I would ask, from the proprietary standpoint, it's going to be the frequency that they're using, and then the inventory system that they use.
They're in tires too.
Yeah. The security cards, our badges that we use to get in the building, those are RFID. So
I have a dumb question. I don't get the battery part. So is it the actual tag that has some form of battery in it?
yeah, the tag by default has an electromagnetic power source built into it. Okay, that's your passive tag. Now, eventually that tag is going to run out. That magnetic is going to lose its magnetic force. Battery, you can add a battery backup or battery power to it that increases it and keeps that thing going longer.
So like the tag that's in my car for sun pass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think mine has a battery. I know mine doesn't have a battery because it's a sticker, but they have some that are bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Those have batteries. Okay.
But the stickers do not.
But most of those are using the microwave.
Okay.
So the reader is
The
microwave.
reader is microwave.
The tag is passive. So pretty cool. It's crazy.
Is there something that makes it like? Is it like your hotel card where if you have it next to your cell phone, it's going to demagnetize?
No, not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen anything on that, but it doesn't mean it's not possible. Take a big horseshoe magnet to it, I'll bet you it'll trash it. But it's crazy. I've heard of RFID for quite a while, but I've never realized just how entrenched it is into our society. I mean, we use it everywhere, and we don't even realize it. It's on your credit cards.
That's why those little things work when you go and just tap the gas.
Tap it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yep.
Access to all.
Now, your cell phones, when you bump your cell phones together and you transfer contact from one phone to the other, that's done through NFC. So it's a slightly different technology, but near field communication, yeah. Which is the basis for Bluetooth. But we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. So what's the cost? The cost is very, very affordable for most people. Most companies that are looking to use it, depends on what they're looking to use it for. That's what's going to drive the cost. But if you go with a passive tag, you can get them for 3 cents and up. And you can go on up from there. From the active, things just keep going up and up. So the readers are where you're going to run into your money, because the readers are $2,000, $3,000 a piece, and it doesn't take much to trash them.
Right there.
This one here is $1,500, and I already put it through the 3-foot drop test today. So
It doesn't look like it's worth $1,500.
yep,
That little device does a lot of stuff.
it does.
And what's the range on that one?
This one, how much distance? 20 feet.
Take down a moose, 20 meters.
Yeah.
But is that 20 feet within the tag distance or the range of the tag?
Within the tag. The tag's got to be within 20 feet of this reader,
Okay.
or it's not gonna pick it up.
Because certain tags have different ranges or they could be picked up.
If they've got a battery in them, sure.
Right, I think that's the point that maybe Alex is making, is that there's a distance here, and so that machine is going to hit this within 20 feet. Well, if this tag starts going away, this machine, and that is what I'm asking, it might only go 20 feet. So what you need now is this tag to broadcast, so it's going to hit this instead.
Right.
So it's going to meet in that middle
Right.
area.
Now, you're talking about a fixed position reader. fixed position reader, the tag has to come to the reader. And that's what you find like out on the highways and your interstates. That's what they are, fixed position. And those are expensive. They run up a few $1,000s. Storage. I think that's on there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lost my spot on here.
Or what can you store on an RFID tag?
RFID, you can store up to 64K of data. So that's actually quite a bit. It depends on what kind of tag. You've got worm, noted on that. Yep. You've got worm, which is write once, read many. You've got read write and read only, kind of like a regular CD. So, but you can, for instance, the tags that we're getting for this client, we can store 64K of data on there, whatever we want within the tag.
So can you reuse an RFID tag?
You can if you get a read write.
Okay.
Or you can also do it with what's called a worm tag. It's a write once, read many. You can read it multiple times, but you can only write data to it once.
Okay.
So how are you writing data to it?
To the tag, it's just like writing. It's what's a good analogy? It's kind of like writing to a CD in a sense.
Yeah, but so is there a machine that you put in?
No, it's all electronic.
There's an API.
It's all electronic. Same way as you're reading it. You're just reading
This
it.
sounds like black magic.
It's that mumbo jumbo.
It's all wireless.
Don't worry about it.
I have a question. I don't know if this is going to be a curveball for you. What's the difference between RFID transmitting technology and NFC?
Yeah, NFC and RFID trans what?
What's the difference between RFID and NFC?
Difference basically is the one is the technology used to send and transmit the data. NFC is really short. It's like 4 centimeters is what your distance
Close
is.
contact.
It's very, very close. You don't have to have contact, but it has to be very close.
Okay. Versus RFID.
That's why it's near.
Versus RFID is actually, it's a radio frequency. So NFC isn't radio. I just read that last night, so.
Sweet.
When I stayed at the Holiday Inn, just saying.
Nobody knows how to read.
Yeah, let's see if I got all my notes. Passive batteries. Yeah, no, the frequencies, there are several different frequencies, but I don't think we really need to get too much into those. But you have low frequency, high frequency, and ultra high frequency, or UHF. UHF is what this guy is. So it's just basically it's going back again to the difference in distances and ranges, that kind of stuff.
Cool.
All right, any questions?
Did it cause cancer? If you find these RFID.
You know,
Only if you guys
See
it's just a radio frequency, so it's nothing more than what's already going through the air.
Yes.
So
So everything.
You already got it.
What about the microwave?
Now the microwave one, you might turn it,
We
might
already
glow.
have the closed sheet with the RFID in the air.
Yeah,
You got one of those?
yeah. But these are some examples. In fact, this one here, this is what we're putting up at our client site.
Yeah.
And what's that person's handle?
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna
what
say.
is up with that?
That is actually a tag put in on a human.
What? I knew it. That was next. I knew
Marcus
that.
Benzene or whatever it is. Yeah. The yellow is actually disinfectant. It's not-
Yeah.
Just
It
so you
looks
know.
bad.
You could have at least.
When I looked at it, I thought it was a duck. When I first saw it, I was like, is that?
Yeah, but
So-
the sheep has like a little earring on there versus like embedded in the skin.
Who would need an RFID to, I mean, I gotta know if this person is less than 300 feet from me.
But you know what they're doing with these tags? They're actually putting it on livestock, like cows and sheep and whatnot, and they're having the readers inside the rail cars.
Nice.
So now they know whose livestock is on that rail car.
We did the same type of thing at a company I worked at. We loaded healthcare stuff on the truck. And this is a device come out of the warehouse on the truck, there's a reader on the truck, and
Mhm.
with the RFID tag, we're able to control.
That's crazy.
That part's very common, the guy with.
It's crazy,
The
isn't
person with the hand there.
Yeah, that's weird. That's just weird.
Well, they've said that as far as using,
The-
you always start with something very helpful like
1900s, 2000s, 2100s.
Right. No, I don't think it's 21, they would put medical information on there, so that if you ended up in the.
Oh, yeah.
Life
Because
alert?
they would know exactly what was going on.
Kind of like a dog thing.
With the what?
Or as you're driving down the interstate,
Testing on dogs first.
Yeah, exactly.
driving down the interstate, you got those overheads, they pick you up. But that tag is actually just slightly larger than a grain of rice.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah.
So it's pretty small. But
It
yeah.
doesn't hurt.
You don't
I
have
put
one
it
of
in my
those
dog.
Not that I know of.
She's eating for us, or she's.
We're going to, not there.
She's gonna put on she's gonna use it on us so she can see our hands and the keyboard.
Okay, here
All of the RFID.
are several other tags. This one here is similar to what we're using.
You say you don't want her to eat.
Okay.
This one here, similar.
What is it?
But these are all kinds of different RFID tags. This one here is actually for a book binding for libraries.
Yeah,
They put it in the books.
the one like in the blue square that I've seen, something like that on a.
I've ripped those off the back of one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy though. And security cards.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the tag reader.
So, pretty wild. Okay, so next, what is Bluetooth? Well, I'll tell you what you really don't want to. This is what you don't want to know. It was invented after the dude kissed this woman. How nasty is that? I had dreams.
That person is real.
I had nightmares after looking at that last night.
That's real.
That was pretty crazy.
It's on the internet. All over.
Y'all seen The Living Dead? That's what that is.
Yeah.
It's because it wasn't her teeth that were blue.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's not on that slide yet. He's not on that slide yet. We don't know. We have to wait.
So,
I'll have to move forward quickly.
so what is Bluetooth? In short, it's a dental hygienist nightmare. Remember the girl from the picture?
Yeah.
Just saying. I want to stay away from that. Go ahead.
Laughing.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Well, basically, it's just a short range wireless communication to transfer data back and forth between two wireless devices or Bluetooth compatible devices. It is radio frequency, which I didn't know. Thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize it was. But that's what it is. What can you do with it? You can do all kinds of things. You can, headsets, everybody's got the wireless, the Bluetooth headsets. You can transfer data.
Except Brian doesn't have. That was your Christmas present's gonna be now, Brian.
You can connect it to your car. You can do just about anything today's day and age with Bluetooth. You can hook your watch, work Bluetooth devices off your watches and stuff. Yep. So it's pretty cool. Okay. Does anyone know how Bluetooth works?
Is that radio frequency?
Kind of. Anyone ever heard of a pan? Like a frying pan? Well, basically, it connects using a personal area network. So you have 32 feet is basically the maximum range for the Bluetooth connection.
Really?
Who would have thunk? I thought it was
Is it
25.
every device has 32? Because I've experienced like 15 feet, if that.
Yeah. Well, the depends on the frequencies. It's 42.5 or something like that. But then there's the lower end and the higher end. So it depends on if there's any interruption of the frequency and that kind of thing. But the maximum range is 32 feet.
There's also smart Bluetooth now too.
There's what?
Smart Bluetooth?
Versus dumb?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't believe that. I'll look that up.
Smart Bluetooth, this is just a random fact I know because I was looking into it for something.
Yeah.
Smart Bluetooth actually connects and disconnects or uses lower battery charge when you're not connected to a device. So the newer versions like 4.0 and 4.5 of Bluetooth, they actually have smart Bluetooth as well. That way you're not transmitting the whole time, just filling your battery.
Also, it shuts itself down.
So it stops looking. So if it notices nothing's
That's
actually connected or trying to pair with it, then like on your laptop, if it has smart Bluetooth thing, it won't be constantly going out there trying to retrieve that information. That way it's not pulling your battery stops. Versus old Bluetooth versions, if you left it active, it would just constantly blow.
Nice.
Great example is phones. If you leave your Bluetooth on with your phone, it dies much more rapidly than if you leave it turned off. Because it's constantly looking.
Because it's constantly trying to connect. Yep. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Duffy.
Yeah.
Try and help everyone out with the word.
Appreciate it.
I'm sorry I didn't believe you.
Did you look it up?
But I did look it up, so it is verified.
Okay, we've had
Fact
much discussion over this, Nathan and Duffy and I, over
We did.
the difference between paired versus connected.
That was my first thing.
We did. Because when you look at it,
TMI kind of.
well, when you look at it on your phone, it's a bit deceiving what it's actually doing. But you can have a device paired to your phone that's not actually connected to your phone or to your device. So in code, it's important to kind of keep that straight so you know what you're doing within your code, where you're at. So the difference, basically, you can have a device paired to your phone that's not actually connected. But once it's connected, it's paired as well as connected.
So that's the example that you're talking about, because right now, my phone is paired to my motorcycle headset.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not turned on right now because my headset's not turned on.
But they
Yep.
instantly know
But as
each
soon as
other.
I turn on my
Yeah.
headset,
That's it.
it immediately connects because it knows.
Yep, they know about each other. They know the device name, and there's also a
Yeah, it's like,
a pair ID that goes back and forth.
so there's a difference between creating the docking station and then actually docking the docking station.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way you put that. That's good.
Yeah.
I understand.
Well, I'm thinking back to the lady with the blue. I just can't get past that.
That you wouldn't.
If you're paired with her, you don't want to be connected. So, just saying.
That's because you keep thinking that she's the docking station and you don't want
Oh, I
I ain't even going there.
Where's Tyler's drum set?
knew. We are being recorded.
That's just wrong on so many levels.
Next slide.
Okay, Bluetooth transfers data basically at 2.45 gigahertz. So that's what that's how it transfers the data. You can actually, from your phone, you can actually open up you have 30 ports that you can open up to a Bluetooth and start transferring data. You can do it 2 different ways. You can do it through a socket and use basically like TCP/IP. That's one of the most common. Or you can use .NET introduces a Bluetooth device, I think is what it's called, an object, and you can actually connect that way. Personal preference. That's what we're going to actually be getting into that here in the next few days. Oop, let me get my mouse. There it is.
You didn't know that?
Okay.
It's just Saturday.
You can get a list, and I'm going to show in our demo how to get a list of Bluetooth devices that are currently paired to the device, not necessarily connected. I just keep thinking that lady in blue, man. That's just nasty. Man. Why do you need both? Basically, the reason why we need both, we're doing for like what we're doing with mobility. You don't have an RFID reader on here that's going to get you 20 feet or more in distance. Some of the older Nokia phones actually have an RFID reader in them, but we don't have it on ours.
Get the reader.
I'm sorry?
Can you cradle those phones to get the reader?
Actually, you can. That's what this thing here is. So the way this works, I might as well go ahead and talk about this now. This is actually a UHF 1128 RFID reader. And the way it works is you can cradle any cell phone, whether it's an iPhone, a Windows phone, or an Android. All 3 of those devices will cradle to this. You can actually buy a tray that is specific for your phone. We opted not to do that. In fact, instead, we went with the Velcro connector. That way they can use whichever phone they want. And we're not limited to a specific kind. But what this does is it brings the data in via this sensor right here, and it transfers it to a phone that's going to be cradled to the top, minus the cables. So I don't drop it again. That was pretty embarrassing. I did it right in front of the client too. That was really bad.
See, so QC guy drops it.
Yeah. See, I told you it would work. But your phone will basically sit like that. So yeah, it's going to be pretty slick, I think.
But does your phone have to be on it?
I'm sorry?
Does your phone have to be on it to be able to use the device?
No, you can use this without having the phone on it, but if you're wanting to store the data that it captures, then yeah, you're going to have your phone on.
So they
You have to have your phone, you don't have to have your phone on it, but you have to have your phone on. As long as it's within 32 feet, you're good.
Okay, so is there different versions of that scanner?
There are several different versions. In fact, this one here,
Did you plant him in this audience?
No, I'm just one of the main people working on this.
yeah, but this one has several different flavors, and Alex, you and I talked about this a while back. You can get this in an NFC and or Bluetooth or specific. It's cheaper if you go with a specific, which is what this client opted to go with. They decided to go with the Bluetooth version. So when this reads the data in, it transfers its data via Bluetooth, and you can actually have the phone in your pocket. It doesn't much matter.
What type of data can it read in?
It's reading off this. It's reading an RFID tag. You can read it in two ways. Is that what you're getting at? Okay. That depends on this front piece. This front piece actually has two different pieces. We opted for the RFID, but you can actually get one that does RFID and or barcode. Well, we already had the barcode covered with the phone, so we didn't need that one. So it was cheaper to go with just the RFID front.
Okay, so it has rails for your phones as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep, the client is actually, they're going with the Nokia 920, so they're going to get the, what's the Defender? OtterBox.
OtterBox?
Yeah, they're going to go with the OtterBox and the Velcro them on, or put them in, keep them in their pocket. I don't know exactly how they're going to carry them, but
It is compatible with multiple OS, multiple.
it is. It works with.
Based off of the Bluetooth and RFID.
In fact, this one isn't released yet for the Windows 8 phone. So Duffy and I sat down, I think it was, or maybe it was Nathan and I, or one of us. At any rate, we sat down and made it work with the Windows 8 OS, which wasn't very difficult. It was just making a few changes here and there. But
You guys need to sell that to Nokia. Do you need me to talk to them?
yeah,
The only catch with that is the difference in RFID technologies. So there's different ways to read in the different tags.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
There's different ways to read in the different tags, correct?
There's different what?
Ways to read the different tags. Like not every tag is the same.
No, yes, that's a good point. Certain tags bring in certain different protocols, and you're going to look at that with your reader as to which protocol you're reading. Now this one here brings in quite a few different protocols, so we're quite certain, in fact, we know for a fact that this reader will read in the protocol for the tags that our client has bought, so we don't have to worry about it. So we read it in, and we transfer it to here, and then we shoot it off to SQL. We store our data. But and it's pretty cool. You just pair it up. So you put it into discovery mode, and you pair it just like you would any other device.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Don't be aiming it at me.
Really, don't give Brian cancer.
They already have like that one.
He already, terrible.
Okay. Oh, I'm reading one of my notes. It's actually cheaper from a consumer standpoint. You can actually buy an RFID reader and Bluetooth transmitters. You can do all this in one device, but they're like $6,000. Yeah. So our client's got $1,700 wrapped up between these two. So it's a lot cheaper, but you do have to pay for the development. So that's something else to consider. But
I'm glad that's not free.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad that's not free.
Yeah. Well, and the client needs, our client here is getting 8 of these. So you figure, 6,000, that's $40,000. So, I don't know, 48, it's a lot of money. So.
I hope we're charging them more than what they're saving on the difference.
The demo.
You ready to switch over?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna change something real quick. And
So was there any major obstacles with this, trying to use the phone approach with the device versus just buying an all-in-one?
Open up whatever you want.
Okay. It's ready to just, is it still recording?
Just go.
Okay. No, the obstacles actually were our own limitations of learning the technology. Yeah.
Any problems with pairing the devices? Or
Well,
anything especially
we had one guy that wouldn't agree with us as to what the difference was between paired versus connected.
Talking about clearance. Stay with phone.
Once we got past that, it went pretty well.
Don't you have to do something with Bluetooth in the code to actually pair it though?
I'm sorry?
Don't you have to do something to actually pair it though in the code with the Bluetooth?
Yeah, you have to connect it.
Okay, maybe you're gonna show me. I don't know.
What is it you're trying to say, Mr. Duffy?
Shut up, man.
He is a plant. I can tell. It's too obvious. Dave.
He's just an unplanned plant.
I put a lot of time.
So he's a weed.
Duffy does have a lot of time in it, and so does Nathan, actually. Both have a lot of time in it.
This one here is coming from Nate now.
I wrote a lot of scoop. I have a few questions. That looks perfect.
Okay, when you go to write your solution, the first thing you're going to want to do You're going to come out here, your capabilities, and set it to proximity. Where is proximity? There it is. So you'll need to check that box in order to use the Bluetooth capabilities of the phone.
Does that also include NFC? Do you know?
NFC.
So they're both under the
They're both
same thing?
included. Yep. Oops. Okay. So real quick, cut down through the code. Oh, yeah, this is where I was making a code change. Take that out. Okay. Okay, slow down. Okay, this method right here is this is the main nuts and bolts of fetching the list of devices that are currently paired with the phone. So we're using Peer Finder, which is this guy right here, part of the proximity. There we go, Microsoft.networking.proximity. But this guy, you can actually call this and it will give you all of the Bluetooth paired devices that are known by the phone. Not necessarily connected, but just whatever's paired. It finds it, it shows it, life is good. Then I'm sorry? No. Then you can actually go down through that, you can interrogate that list and pick up. I'm sorry?
Interrogate.
Yeah.
A little extreme.
Yeah.
That's right.
For instance, one of our things is we don't want to show the client anything that's not an 1128 device. So in our code, I swiped this out of the code that Duffy and Nate have been working on. We're checking to see if the name actually has 1128 in it. Now, there's some obvious problems with that. If there are devices out there that have 1128, for instance, a headset or whatever, we would show it. But all it means is we're going to show it in the list. If they try to connect to it, we'll refuse. It'll break. The code will say I can't talk to that device. So I mean, we'll handle it gracefully so it's not crashing the app, but it's just something to help minimize what's showing up in the list. But that's just one way to go about it.
It has to end with 1128.
I'm sorry?
It has to end with 1128.
Yeah, it has to end with 1128. And in our case, the device, I think, is underscore 1128 is actually what it ends with, but it's just a way of filtering it. Get my stuff to move.
That name comes from the device itself, right?
This is coming from the phone.
So, I mean, it's not like someone can set what the device name, what the display name is. It's
Right. Yeah.
just whatever.
Oh, yes.
The manufacturer.
It's the manufacturer. That's what they send over. It's part of their paired device info. It's paired device info, I think is what it's actually called. It's an object that is actually brought over. Microsoft sends it. Part of the.
So I was just going to ask kind of the opposite question of what Ryan just said, is that if I wanted to, could I rename my phone so that when it tries to pair it, it goes by what I decided to call my phone versus what Samsung decided to call my phone?
Actually, it doesn't matter. Once it's paired, there's actually basically a MAC address that's stored, and that's how, like for instance, my device would know your device because it knows the MAC address.
Yeah, because I'm just assuming that Rex is going to have not just anybody's phone, they're going to have, let's say, company phones or
Right.
specific phones, so it doesn't even matter if it's an 1128, it's going to be there. So I was just wondering,
Well,
the scenario was, could Rex just call their phone, Rex phone number 1, 2, 3, whatever?
Yeah.
This is actually the device name. It's actually that reader name, not the phone.
Yeah, it's actually the reader that we're going to be picking up. That's what we're going to pair with this from this.
Right, okay, so it's my phone pairing with that.
Exactly.
Okay, versus, all right, I thought it was the other way.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't see any other.
So let's see if I can.
I use channels.
Sometimes you just gotta use a pick. Just log on and
Yeah, I think that's true.
Okay, so I'll push that over to the phone.
You can't do this in an emulator.
No, actually, you can't use Bluetooth with the emulator. That's a good question. I actually had a note on that and didn't mention it.
That's all I mean.
But so this one, I don't have anything paired to the phone. So it just kicked up a message to say there aren't any paired devices. So that's one of the edits we're doing in the code. So now I've put this thing into pairing mode. Oops, I just turned it off. We need to get a camera that shoots down and projects.
Mm-hmm. Or we just forgot how to do the new project my screen.
Project my screen, yeah. Okay, so now it's showing on the phone as being connected. I will run it. Come on. And there it is. So now it shows that device is now connected.
Is your example popping up on the front screen, your UI?
I'm sorry?
Is that the example, the UI popping up first?
It is. When this actually goes, what Nathan has done is he created, well, actually I think Duffy started it, but Nathan finished it, put a pivot control on the phone. So when they swipe to the side, they can switch between devices in case they have multiples. Each side I know is going to have at least two. So whatever one he picks up out of the charger, that's the one he'll want to pair with. And he just taps it to connect it.
Okay.
So,
Exposed to UI, I like that.
yeah.
Is there any reason why you can't run that through the emulator to test?
I'm sorry?
Is there a reason why you can't run that through the emulator to test?
Yeah, because you can't do Bluetooth through the emulator.
Oh.
So this actually, going back to your question, Audrey, is called the host name basically is the MAC address or the endpoint. You're familiar with endpoints. That's what's actually stored. So it knows the MAC address to your phone or whatever device it is you're using. That's what it stores. All right.
There's also a very specific error message that you get if Bluetooth is turned off. So that's what this code does right here. It checks for that actual result, that hex result, and that's a specific naming convention, I guess you could say, for the Bluetooth there. So that's why we have that in there like that. So if you get that result, you know that Bluetooth is turned off, and that's why you have to show the Bluetooth control panel so that it'll take you to there and you can turn it on.
Yeah. And I mean, as you can see, going down through this code, it's pretty simplistic. You know, Duffy and Nathan did a great job on coding this up. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
It'll be easy to maintain. So, but here are your objects. That's what I wanted to tell you guys. Yeah, paired device info. That guy right there is going to get you the MAC. That's where you get your MAC address or host name or your endpoint, however you want to word it. And peer info is pulled from your PDI, your paired device info. So, all right. Anybody have any questions?
It's a beautiful thing.
I'm sorry?
It's a beautiful thing.
I'm pretty excited about it.
That's good stuff.
I mean, it's
I
been.
wish we could see those RFID.
You're not
If there was an evaluation form.
Oh, man.
It's the same thing, Brian.
We have been how many? 3 weeks, 4 weeks at least, asking for them. We get a box yesterday with that big mammoth reader in it. No tags.
How long did this development take you to figure all this stuff out? On
To
how
figure-
compare them and
Duffy and I worked on the Bluetooth, what, 2 hours?
Yeah.
If that, somewhere thereabouts. Didn't take very long.
About, I'd say maybe between the three of us, like 35 hours, maybe.
Probably, yeah.
Where do you go for the whole thing? That's well, the thing that he didn't mention about this app is not only is it doing the Bluetooth pairing and setting up for the RFID reading, it's actually currently capturing barcodes. And
That's a separate topic.
Yeah, it's a separate topic, but that's this whole app, that's why it took so long, because we're scanning in the barcodes, because later, for the customer, we want to pair the kiosk barcode with the RFID barcode so they can keep track of inventory better.
Going with what you're saying, we've actually, as a backup plan, if they do break these, because they're going to have 2 or 3 at each site, if they do break them, their RFID tags that they're using have barcode on them as well. So we can use the phone and barcode in barcode read that tag as well. So we don't actually need the reader. We can do it either way. It's just easier with the reader. The other aspect that they're going to use this reader for is they're going to mount this to a pole and send it up 20 or so feet in the air and read RFIDs. So that's why we.
Set it up more than 32 feet.
I'm sorry. No, it's Bluetooth. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. As long as they keep the pole under, they can keep the phone in their pocket. Yeah.
Can you show where you're using the stream socket? You have the stream socket.
I pulled that code out.
Object.
Yeah,
Okay.
I pulled it out because I didn't want to get too far into it. But basically, the stream socket it does a bind to the device. We pass in the pair ID. You know, like when you pair your cell phone to your car, it gives you a number. Says, hey, put this into your phone. It's the same concept. It's basically just an knack with a handshake kind of thing, and we send it back and forth. And once both parties say, okay, yeah, I know who you are, you know who I am.
It's just like an open channel that you can send information back and forth.
Exactly. Yep. And you read it into a byte array and stream it out to do whatever you want with it. Just like you would with a TCP/IP socket. The same concept.
Where did we go to learn more about this API?
I'm glad you asked. Because that's actually, it's actually in my slideshow.
Are you done with the demo?
Yeah. There. Real quick. It's rfidjournal.com. That's a good site to get RFID information. Bluetooth.com has a lot of information on Bluetooth. Stack Overflow, there's a ton of information out there. People have been doing this and that. And, well, how do you do this and how do you do that? A ton of information. MSDN.
Windows mobile site is in this one?
I'm sorry?
On Windows mobile site or Windows MSDN site?
There's the Microsoft MSDN site has a lot of information on it, so you can get a lot of good information from there. There's the phone developer site. That's actually one of the better ones I found that actually have a lot of good information. Now it doesn't give you it gives you examples, but not real world examples where some users trying to make it do this. How do you do that? And so they come and say, oh, well, try this and look at this and that kind of thing. Stack Overflow is one of my favorite sites because that's actual users trying to put things to use. So, yeah, thanks, Brian.
See that last quote, Alex? There you go.
You knew it, I knew it.
Okay, so, yep. Okay, so who uses RFIDs? Well, I think I've already kind of covered this, but yes, Big Brother is identifying you, the hand. Transportation, product tracking for inventory, social media. That's actually a pretty big one. Epic Mix put these things, gave skiers RFID tags so that they can come into the ski resorts with their RFID things on. Then as they go down certain slopes, they register points. So when they start out and when they get to the bottom, they get points for that. Then they actually have competition. Who gets the most mileage? Who's doing the most skiing? This, that, and the other. So it's actually kind of cool.
They're going down the slopes with a phone in your hand, checking the point.
Yeah. Gee, there's another one. Yeah. No, but they got an RFID reader up at the top, so when they get off the thing, when they get off of what's that thing called? Ski lift.
A lot of places will have like a lift tag, right?
Yeah.
And you have a lift ticket that proves that you're allowed to be there.
Mhm.
So it's probably just in their lift.
Mhm.
And just stick it on their zipper and you just go ski.
And go. Like I said, you get 64K of data on them, so you can do quite a bit with that. I'm sorry?
That's what Bill gets, Joe.
More than you ever need, is that what you said?
64K first, yeah.
Mhm.
You'll ever need? No one ever needs a mega of RAM.
I remember when they did that with disk drives. 10 meg, man, you'll never need more than that. Yeah. Okay. There's all the resources that pop up.
No,
Okay. So Bluetooth is Bluetooth.com, RFID Journal. How stuff works? I'm sorry?
You closed it.
So
Go to this.
is RFID a line of sight?
Go ahead, click it from there. There you go.
Thanks.
Line of sight.
Is RFID a live site?
Line.
Line of sight, which means that
No, it's not. Infrared, IR is, but no, it's omnidirectional.
One of the biggest challenges we had is not line of sight, and it would double read coming in and out.
Now that is something. That's a good point. When you're reading, when your RFID reader reads in an RFID, it may read it in 100 times, in a matter of seconds, just because it's just picking up whatever frequencies are in the area. You know, Nathan had to code around that in
Do you
his.
keep like a socket open or run that or something, or?
No, you just have to keep a local cache of which ones you've read and check the cache. Have I already read it? Yep. Move on, get the next one. Yeah.
And then does it
That's-
stop reading it, or is it gonna keep reading it?
It'll keep reading it. As long as it's there, it will continue to read it. So this reader is actually using, the one that we're using with our client is using an HTTP post protocol. So we've got basically a listener, if you will, sitting there waiting for something to come in. As soon as it reads it, it sends it. And then we manipulate and do what we're going to do with it.
Too big and heck on a web server.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I put a desktop server in the middle of that one time. That is one stupid chatting interface.
It's one what?
And the communication between RFID devices,
Mhm.
the tag is super chatty.
Yeah, yep. Well, it's going to be interesting because what this client is doing is they bought these tags. They're actually disposable, 3 cents a piece. So once its end of life is a debarker, so it goes through a pretty horrifying death. But you know, when it's read in,
We saw that. It was the first.
yeah, the blue teeth, yeah. But it's read in. As it's coming into the debarker, once it comes within range, we may pick it up 300 or 400 times before it actually gets run through the mill.
Before you're not picking it up ever.
Exactly. Yep. But with that, we're actually doing inventory control as well. So once we process it, once we show that Bluetooth is not, or that RFID has been consumed, we update their inventory. So now they're doing their inventory based on load. So they may put 5 tags on a load, they may put 2. You know, but what we do is, let's say they put 5, then we drop the inventory by 1/5 for that load. So they're not looking for an exact count; they just want an approximate.
Dave, to do the development in Windows Phone, did you have to download a special SDK or anything, or is it all just built in?
It's all there. We did for the barcode. We had to download some stuff, but now we've actually got a control that we just got from one of the code camps that we were just at that does that. We can do barcode right from that.
Wow.
So,
Fusion?
I'm sorry.
You talking about the Sync Fusion?
The Sync Fusion control, yeah.
And for logistics and telemetry, also have one.
Yeah.
That's just whichever flavor you want to use.
Yeah.
The only caveat with barcodes, if I could intrude it depends on what you're trying to do with barcodes. Sure, QR codes, and then there's like 10 different kinds of barcodes you could possibly read. So,
We're using 3 of 9.
yeah, so we limited it down, but you can use a bunch of them. You can make an app that reads everything.
3 of 9 is the most common barcode, or one of the most common. That's what we already used when we wrote the original system for these guys. So we wanted to use that same technology, basically the same
Same code.
There we go. So now, actually, I'm sorry.
Star Trek joke.
Oh, okay.
7 and 9 looks better.
Yeah. So when they read that when that driver pulls up, the kiosk kicks out a ticket. It's got the barcode printed on it. So when they bring it back to the back of their truck for the QC guy, he just scans it.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's all at that point. It's all tied in and associated. So that's it.
All right.
That's all I've got. That's it.
Very cool.
No, very nice.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
I'll let you have one if you do stuff.
Let's go ahead and stop.